Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to Aspire 32. And today we have a very important podcast, that is how to appear and clear UPSC exam after dentistry. And for this, we have Dr. Mittali Sethi, who got 56th rank at the All India level UPSC exam. And now she is an IAS officer. This is after she securing 30th rank in All India PG exam during her UG days, and then she did her orthodontics and she was practicing orthodontics. And now she is currently the SDM and project officer at Amravati since 2019. So thank you, Dr. Mittali Sethi, for accepting our invite to come on this podcast in spite of being busy. I'm sure that because of all this COVID situation, you may be having a lot of responsibilities, but the whole dental community would be really thankful for your time and whatever guidance you are providing to all the students, especially the undergraduate students who look forward guidance for so many options which they may have after their undergraduation.
Yeah, thank you so much for calling me. I think it's always nice to, I think I've never had the opportunity to actually address dentists particularly, because when I cleared the exam, I was in a medical college. So most of the students were MBBS. So thank you for having me over.
So, of course, when I put the poster on Facebook and Insta page, there are many people, by far the highest number of replies I ever got for the launch of any poster on my social platform. And many students have this thought when they think about finding career options, especially IAS, which is really, a difficult thought to have. And there are few people like Dr. Nikita who has asked me, and of course, as a practitioner, I always thought this question, that why IAS after getting an merit seat in the orthodontics, and then thought of IAS.
So I think people's lives traverse very different trajectories, and everybody finds what they want to do at different points of time in their lives. And for me, for example, I don't think I ever knew what IAS is, and ghar pe bhi, like, parents were in a government institution, they were working in banks, but we never really gave it a thought that IAS karna hai, because at that point of time it always used to be like become a doctor or an engineer. And since we've never seen IAS officers around us, Punjab mein kabhi we've never interacted with and never had the need, because parents always keep middle class families very protected. So you don't really need to kind of rebel for anything or, file an RTI for anything. And kabhi we don't get to kind of have that interaction. And it is a very, so I mean, I got into a government seat in BDS, and then I got into a government seat in MDS. So it's always like, you don't choose what you want to do, you kind of choose what you have, because it becomes such a big deal, right? That you're getting a government seat, and then it's like, you can't just leave what you're getting. So that's true for the seats that we take. It's true for a lot of jobs that we do. And I feel like not only, getting the MDS seat, I was working as an orthodontist when I took this decision of writing the exam. And I think a significant part of that was probably because at one point, I just realized that, this is not, this is amazing. Not to say that, orthodontics was not amazing. I loved treating my patients. I loved being in Pondicherry in the medical college. But there was somewhere down the line, the fact that, I always used to feel that, I was always a social person. I liked talking to people. I liked going to the field, and I was not really a very luxury person. So I was like, kya kar rahi ho? Like, a lot of people who have this thought that, what are we exactly doing? Like, what is the impact that we are making? Why are we here? And things like that. Those were existential questions.
It's like what is the purpose of our life?
And the whole thing that happened kind of led me not to IAS initially, but to an organization called Search in Gadchiroli, which was which is one of the most backward districts in Maharashtra. And wahan pe there was this organization. I just came across them very randomly. I was in Chennai at that point, and I came across this website, and then they were doing this youth camp. I applied for the youth camp, and then somewhere, I don't know, even today, I don't know how I made those decisions. It was probably not, a choice that I was making. I was compelled. That inner voice compelled me to kind of do this, and I couldn't. There were so many problems in going to Gadchiroli, in taking this humongous decision that I'm not going to do this anymore. And it was just like a snap, yeah, that no, I'm just going to do this, and then see what happens from there. And I think Gadchiroli really opened my eyes to the field, because when I went there, I couldn't understand Marathi. And I was not aware of, how social reform works, what is politics, what is Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, bill kaise banta hai, law kaise banta hai, absolutely unaware. And since I couldn't understand language, they kind of attached me with their medical team. And they said that, why don't you just do some epidemiology of oral diseases in this area, because we don't really have a dentist with us. And I started doing that. And in the process of that, in going with their mobile medical team, I kind of came across villages that have not had milk. You are a dentist, you would appreciate, like one of the villages I went to actually told me that there was no caries. Like I was examining children, and you know how in urban areas wo bottle caries rehta hai raat ko.
Yes.
I saw all the teeth. We wrote down all our notations and did everything, and I couldn't find one child with caries, and I was really, really surprised. A lot of periodontitis, but not caries. So I was kind of, really amused, and I was like, "Kya chal raha hai?" And I asked them questions, and they told me that, यहाँ पे दूध नहीं आया है. Like 20 साल से we've never had milk. And I was like, why? And they said कि जब भी सड़क बनती है तो नक्सल उड़ा देते हैं. So there is no road connectivity. And it's just one small thing that I remember. And I was like, all the way back, I was just thinking, aisa kyun hai? Like, what can we do about it? And I realized, yaar, ki this is extremely interesting. Matlab, social purpose aside, it was something that I was really enjoying to do. Maza aa raha tha. So I was like, I came back, and then we went to Gadchiroli again also. It was a 3-stage camp. But between going to Gadchiroli and then, a whole new portal opened up. And I was like, iske saath kya kar sakte hain? So when we started doing that, then gradually what happened is that things were happening, and we shifted to Pondicherry, things were happening. And then we thought, chalo, we'll go to NGO. Then kahin se this whole IAS thing, I had a friend who was preparing for IAS, and I asked him what exactly is IAS and what is UPSC. And then he told me that, aisa hota hai. Then there was this entire year of, can I ever do it? Because I don't know anything. So... But it did happen, and I think it happened in a lot of a big reason of all of this was my visit to Gadchiroli and those experiences.
I remember, if I'm recollecting properly, you were also apprehensive to go to the south because you were from north, and you because during that time we used to help so many people in Orkut, and that's how we actually met. We had the amazing experience.
So now when you're saying Orkut, this is now I'm remembering what it used to be like. Zamane ho gaye, it's like that.
Yes. But it was good.
Yeah. Yeah. But the whole fact that I've lived in the South and I've had these experiences has really helped me in civil services also. Because now a lot of people tell me that, tum lagti hi South Indian ho, like because of your hair and all that. And I told them that, Chennai is my favorite place. My favorite place is not Punjab. It's actually, I just love my time in Chennai and how I bonded with, people who were so different from who I am in terms of language and culture, but who were so similar to me also in so many ways. And that understanding has really helped me come to a new state in civil services and then just fit in. Like, mushkil nahi laga. It was just so easy for me because I had done it there.
Yeah. So we all finished the post-graduation together. I think 2012 we finished it. When was this final decision of applying to IAS was taken from? Like, did you do it in 2000 during your post-graduation or after 3-4 years? When was it?
Post-graduation, I was blissfully unaware of anything called IAS. My plan was to just settle down in doing like a job. Probably I got a job in SRM as assistant professor, and then gradually moved on to PIMS. It was in SRM when I was the assistant professor, and I was working in a private chain of hospitals where I was very, very unhappy. And there was this one day where I just I just got up in the morning and I just went and resigned. And I said that, I don't want to do this anymore. And I remember that day, it was, my head was all, because, you leave financial independence and then you say that, I'm just not going to earn this money, because at some point you're like, this money is just not worth it. And you make that decision that, kuch aur karenge. But UPSC, of course, was so competitive that when I started, I just knew that ये नहीं होने वाला है. Like it was always like, this is not going to happen. Like, this is not possible at all. Like 0% possibility. And my husband actually predicted a negative possibility, minus me. Like he said, ki, you are so bad with current affairs that I mean, he actually, a lot of people around me were like, you and UPSC, this is not happening.
Yeah.
So
No, in fact, the day I woke up and I saw the post that you have cleared IAS, I felt, यार ये कैसे कर लेते हैं लोग, मतलब इतना. So it's like, Mittali ने ये भी कर लिया ऐसे, मतलब I always knew you were super intelligent, there was no doubt with it, but वापस यार.
No, but it was a whole process, it was a process of depression and failing. And you asked when did I kind of start trying? I think I wrote my first exam in 2014. That's the first time I wrote prelims. Okay. So I think the decision was taken probably since the exam was in May, so probably around February or March, because I just prepared for a month and wrote prelims. So 2014, 15, 16, and it was the 16 exam that I finally cleared in 2017. Exam itna lamba hai, exam takes a year.
Yes. No, I'm not sure whether I should ask you this question, but because many people do give this thought that people are not happy with dentistry and that's why they should opt for the IAS. Do you think, is that the right thing towards deciding that whether you should do an IAS exam?
Yeah. So I was never unhappy with dentistry, honestly. I mean, it was not that ye acha hai aur ye bura hai. Aisa kabhi bhi nahi tha, In fact, I had great plans of going to search as a dentist and just being there and serve as a dentist in those areas, because that would have allowed me to practice as well as, fulfill what I really wanted to do. So what really matters is not whether you are unhappy with dentistry or whether you would be more happy in services. The main question, I think, is why are you unhappy in the first place? Is it because of your job? Or is it because you wanted to do something that you're not doing? Could it be done with dentistry? And, all the 3 years that I prepared for my exam, I did not leave dentistry. I was working in my job till the very last day of joining in services. I mean, August 28, 2017 was my first day in services. And till August 25th, 2017, I was in FIMS. I was finishing my cases and I was doing all that. So I never felt unhappy doing dentistry. It was just that, I wanted something different, not superior. So there are a lot of people who are very happy doing dentistry. They're doing research and they're fulfilling that void in the research. And there's so much to do in dentistry. It's a complete medical science in itself. So I think that whole thought process does not lead you anywhere, especially in competitive exams, because with competitive exams, who you are as a person, how much perseverance can you have, and all that matters so much. So, if you feel that you're unhappy in dentistry because you kind of wanted to do something else in your life, and you could, Nelson Mandela used to say that if you could play a larger pitch, have a larger impact in your life, why would you play small? If those are the kind of thoughts, that sometimes I used to have and have now also. It's not like I've cleared IAS and now it's suddenly become like, oh my God, I'm amazing and I'm doing amazing work. No, I mean, it's a constant thing that anybody has. And what we all need to work on is inner voice, and telling ourselves what is okay and what is not, and asking ourselves what is it that I want, not what Mittali Sethi wanted.
True. Those are really amazing words, Dr. Mittali. And I'm sure when you must have told your colleagues, your friends, not everybody must have supported you when you thought you will apply for IAS. So do you have any criticism or something? Somebody said, okay, it is not possible. How many people actually told you, yes, you can do it? Can you name those names, or
Again,
how many? Yes.
there were so many people in my life who, for example, even my in-laws. So there were different types. There were different levels of opposition. There was complete opposition that, ye to pagalpan hai. Like, it was like, what is this? Like, you're married and you have a job and you're a doctor, so you're already serving the society. So ye serving the society kya hota hai? Like, why do you want to serve the society more? Like, it was like, why are you not just satisfied? And I was like, I can't answer this question, because I can't tell you what my sense of purpose is. You would just have to trust me on that. So many people. Then there were, people like my in-laws. My in-laws were not very supportive. They were not like every day coming and telling me that, you can do this, you can do this. But my mother-in-law, my father-in-law was so proud of the fact that I'm doing this. And, he said, this is so amazing that, that you're studying for this. And he said, it doesn't matter, you go through or you don't go through, but it's just amazing that you're doing this. And I think that helped me on so many levels. My mother-in-law was like, she was indifferent to the fact that ye kar rahi hai, but she was never like, ki kyun kar rahi hai? She was like, it's your life. You make that decision and you deal with the consequences of whatever happens with that. And I think as an adult, as an older adult, I think that's the kind of support that you can give your children. Then I had amazing people in Pondicherry, and I think the only reason I could clear my exam was because of these people. I had these amazing 4 women around me who were my colleagues in the dental department. I had this prosthodontist who was my HOD. I had this BDS who used to do endo work. Then there was a physiotherapist and there was an endodontist. And it was amazing, these 4 women, they were so sure. Like, my HOD was so sure कि इसका तो होना ही है, that, I failed in 2015. My prelims got done and I couldn't clear. And I was very upset and I was like, I think I should just, give it up and, maybe just like, try for a baby and, it's just getting very... Yeah. And there was this, I still remember my physiotherapist, the dietitian friend that I have, she actually sat with me and she said, ki, do you know, Mittali, everybody reproduces, okay, even animals. It's like, okay. She's like, you can do this at any point of time, okay, but this is not going to come again. So she said, Aram se soch ke, you should never regret not doing this ever in your life. And, they used to tell me, no matter what Weber was saying, no matter what anybody else is saying, we are here. So my HOD, when I cleared prelims, she shouted from the top of her flat, and she was like, let's tell everybody that you've cleared prelims. And I was like, Sajju ma'am, it's just the first stage, okay, I have to clear mains, I have to clear interview. She said, I don't care. She got me a mahine ka chutti for preparing my mains. She came with me to the principal's office, telling her that, this is such a great thing that she's cleared prelims. And when I cleared mains, she just completely lost it. And after I cleared my interview, we actually, did not tell her the day I got my result. We came the other day. She came, entered the department, and we all just gheraofied her. And we were like, Sajju ma'am, I cleared my exam. And she just started crying here. She was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And, these men were... They are like my mothers, they've really gotten me through this. There was Gopi, there was Prince, so, I can name everybody. Sajju ma'am, Shaino ma'am, Malti, so many people, Mahi ma'am, all of them. So a lot of support, not only women. When I had my interview, there were these group of 4 men who had a WhatsApp group with me, and then they used to daily ask me questions. Ki aaj ka ye question hai, so you give me an answer. And when I came to a UPSC interview in Delhi, I had 7 people who accompanied me till the UPSC building. People who flew in from Chennai just to, sari bandna hai, emotional support dena hai, you want to be there for her. So it was a whole tribe. Including my husband. He was somewhere else when this whole thing was happening. He had undergone a surgery. And he still came and he was completely with me through it. And it was amazing. The support I got was a lot of support.
And, this listening to you only makes me realize that you just need a few people, with their motivation, you can achieve a lot of things, even though you may have so many negative things around.
The thing is that, you have to find who can support you. It's not always going to be family. And I don't define family in very conventional ways. I'm sure all of us have people who are not blood relations, but are our families. And I think these people who were with me at this point of time are my families, I mean, so you have to be, I think as a person, you also have to be, one has to be a little open minded about who we let into our lives, who we allow to help us at different points of time. And then once you are ready to do that, the whole world can sometimes just open up for you.
Yeah. You said you were practicing when you are preparing for the IAS. What was your schedule like? Because some of the viewers have asked me this.
Yeah.
How easy was it? Like, did you have a timetable for preparation?
Yeah, I mean, nothing happens without a timetable. And it was crazy, I mean, now my life is probably equally busy, but not very, academic right now. But at that point of time, I had my, everywhere I used to go, I had these things in front of me. So I used to have my syllabus on the Almira, like constantly in front of me. And there used to be a huge India ka map. So for example, I had to see where countries are in relation to each other on the global map, and then see where states are in relation to each other on the India map. So there, I had to see biodiversity parks, and then I had to see all these wildlife that I wanted to remember, which state has which animal and bird and all that. So the thing that my schedule was, of course, I used to get up in the morning, and then I used to read editorials before I kind of left for the hospital. And once I used to leave for hospital, so I had my patients, and then in between I had these things that I'd finish current affairs. And then dophar ke samay mein, when the OPD was not there, at that time I used to sit with one of my endodontist friends, and then I used to read art and culture, or then I used to read geography with her. And I used to ask her कि मुझे questions पूछो and do all those things. So one of the things that I would always sit with headphones in my head, because there was constant chatter. You know how clinics are. So there were like constant patient chatter. Something is happening. There's my motor going on, micromotor going on, and all that. So there was also this small area which we had created like for just my sitting. It's like literally like a garage thing. There's this small table and chair where I used to sit whenever the sound was too much. So there was a lot of adjustment, because if you are somebody who just cannot study that कि मुझे भाई 6 घंटा ही पढ़ना है, नहीं तो मैं बीच में 1 घंटा नहीं पढ़ सकता, it becomes very difficult with the job, because you have to be very patient, and you have to say that, ठीक है, this is the half an hour that I have in this time, and this is the half an hour that I have to use strategically.
So what how many? Yeah, please.
What was very important was to have the exam on my mind constantly, even when I was sometimes, not really studying directly. But let's say I'm walking from my house to the hospital. So that's a walk of around 3.5 minutes. And in those 3.5 minutes, I kind of used to revise something in my head. So this is something that I want to tell everybody, that, when you are stuck in a job, or when you're doing, you really have to, innovate, create, and then be in that mindset when it takes that amount of craziness to, write competitive exams when you are in a job.
So how many hours do you think one will have to read to clear?
I have lost count of the number of hours I have put, because it was only UPSC for 3 years for me. I mean, not 3 years. Probably first year I was not very serious. The second year I did try a lot, and I ended up getting lesser marks in prelims than my first attempt. I don't know how. I did. So my hospital used to be from 9 to 5. And apart from that, like subhe ka 1 ghanta, and then after coming home, the entire day used to be for UPSC. I mean, barring a few days, when I was like, theek hai, today I'll not study, or today I'll just like, watch a movie. But even, watching movies. So for something like UPSC, the amazing thing is that it really helps who you are in terms of the movies that you watch, the documentaries that you watch, the kind of other interests that you have. It has helped me so much, because I used to watch TED Talks, I still remember. And I have written about those TED Talks in my UPSC answers. And I was like, it is relevant, so I'll write. And that kind of, brings a freshness to your answer, because you are not somebody who's just sitting at home and studying from kitabe and writing all that. You're somebody who brings your experiences along with you. You are a dentist who has seen patients, who is interacting with people every day. And somewhere down the line, one has to bring those experiences. And that really helps. So one must not look at the job as a weakening factor, that, I'm in a job, and therefore this is prohibiting me from attempting UPSC or clearing it, one has to look at it as a strength, that, what does it bring on my table and actually helps me.
Yeah. And did you join any coaching for the IAS preparation?
I did not, because I was in Pondicherry and I did not really have a coaching also. Uh, so I was in Pondi, and the only coaching I had available was an online coaching. So I did do a lot of online exams and online tests. So there was this website called Insights on India. There was Forum IAS, and these were the only things that I used to join just the test series part of it. So I felt like, since I'm studying on my own and I do have the motivation on my own, tests were really helpful. I mean, it was really important for me. In fact, the difference between my second and third attempt was probably just the fact that I wrote a lot of tests in my third attempt. I wasn't waiting that, when I feel prepared, I would have the vulnerability of, writing a test. Third attempt, I was like, no matter what happens, I'm just going to go write a test. And I used to go write it. Sometimes I used to get really bad marks. But then it used to be like, this is not my final exam. My final exam is on 6th of June. And that is when I will be tested. So in the third attempt, I actually got one of the highest scores all India, the 142. The cutoff was 105 or something. And this whole tests ka thing, where I was not only writing tests but also revising my tests. In prelims, I'm very sure that this is something that really works. And prelims
You
is your
have
most competitive exam. I mean, there were 11 lakh people who were writing prelims, and they were going to select only 15,000.
So you
So
have the prelims, then you have mains, and then you have an interview.
yes, interview. Yeah. So
Okay, so
there's around 11 lakh people who write prelims. So prelims is a multiple choice question paper. So out of 11 to 12 lakh people who apply, around half of them write the exam. So probably say 7 or 8 people would actually come to write the exam. But a lot of people just fill forms and never come to write the exam. So out of 7-8 lakh people, they select 15,000 for mains, and then they select 3,000 for the interview, and then around 1,000 for actual civil services. Just let's say first 100 generally goes to IAS, and then there's IAS, IPS, whatever, depending on what people are choosing. And then there are all these central civil services.
So do you remember the day? What
I
came
can.
in your mind when you actually at the last, you got to know your 56th rank? What was
It
that day like?
it was very funny. It was a very non-significant day until 7 o'clock, because 7 baje tak they were like, subah se they were like, aaj result aayega, but it was not coming. And I was like so anxious, because I was like the whole, and andar se I was like, hona to hai nahi, like, this whole thing. So mera to not only interview, when the prelims result came, prelims mein I was relatively sure that I will clear it, because I had checked with exam keys and all that. When mains result had come and I had to go for the interview, I was absolutely sure that nahi hona hai. And that itself was very shocking for me. When I saw my name in the interview list, I was like, ye kaise ho gaya? Ye to kuch galti kar di inhone. And I just came in the interview ka list, and I was like, chalo abhi interview ka preparation karenge. And I had never worn a sari, never in my life. And to wo ek mahina to actually we just experimented with wearing a sari. So this whole thing happened, and then the UPSC interview happened, and we came back, and I was like, abhi fourth attempt ke liye prepare karna hai, because it was my last attempt. At that point, there used to be only 4 attempts. Like, acha, theek hai, let's start preparing for. So the day my result came, I was actually studying art and culture, and I was like, aaj 20 page padhne hai, kal 20 page padhne hai. I was in that thought. And then they said ki aayega, and I was like, chalo nahi aa raha hai, to I slept आराम से कि ठीक है. 7 बजे I got up, and then they said कि result आ गया है. So and I was alone, like there was nobody in the house and all that. I just opened the result, and very, very I was just looking, I was like, naam to hai nahi. And then I saw my name, like 56 pe. And I still remember, I just started like crying, all aasu coming on my face, and I just called my husband, and I was like, the first thing I actually told him was, they've not checked their papers correctly. I was like, they've selected me. And my husband was like, I said I got 56 rank, and then he was like, he was like, then why are you crying? And I said, I don't know. And I just like unbearably, there was this thing where I was just, and the only night I've not slept in my life is probably that night. I couldn't sleep for a second. And then, slowly, I mean, everybody started coming to meet me, and then it just became like a huge thing. And for a while, it was just like, I don't know what is happening.
So there are a few of my viewers who have asked me this, like Imtihas, Shreya, Many people have asked me this optional subject. Which optional subject should someone take if they have applying for IAS after dentistry?